a while.
Yeah, same. Well, I think the biggest thing that's changed since we talked to you last is the quarterback situation has changed. We've talked to Shane a lot about it, but just wondering if you have any perspective and how you think they're sort of, there's some symmetry between them and trying to establish themselves or reestablish, but they're also very different. I don't know, how do you see this kind of shaking out?
Yeah, those guys are, I think, eager to compete. Competition makes us all better, so to have an opportunity to go out there and compete against another really good player, everybody's got their own story of what they're individually working towards and competing for. And then ultimately, all 11 on the field and all us coaches are working to get the Colts where we need us and the organization where we need us. So, like I said, competition kind of makes us all better. Got an opportunity to go out there and get some reps and, kind of go through our process. And, whether you're hearing it for the first time or hearing it for the 10th time, spring's always a good time of year to dive back into the details in the quarterback room especially, and kind of make sure you're in lockstep with what we're doing offensively, and that can give you the best chance to go succeed. So those guys are putting in good work here, and it's going to be fun to watch.
How much can you do on the field in this phase? I can't remember exactly.
Phase 2 is it's
primarily
primarily sort of individual drills. We're able to throw the ball a little bit, kind of some walk-through style stuff. No team, no fun team stuff yet.
You talked about guys being able to compete, but for Anthony specifically, his footwork he talked about a lot. Have you seen anything there, or just how he's kind of gone about his mechanics coming into this year?
He's working on different aspects of his game. He's mentioned some of that to you guys, like you mentioned. I think that's natural for a quarterback as they go through their NFL career to find aspects of their game to refine, especially in the off season. 1 year it's footwork, 1 year it's something else, 1 year it's these guys are really, really on top of their craft, and I think that's just a part of Anthony's sort of work habits in the off season. What he's looking to get better, working to improve, and this is a good time of year. You guys aren't out there shooting cameras at them, so they can work on anything they need to work on and sort of try to fine tune it.
How much of an impact can it have for Anthony, though, that last year he was rehabbing, the year before that he was training for the draft, to have an off-season stretch from January to April where he could focus on stuff like that?
Yeah, we do think, the NFL offseason, we do think has a lot of value in, getting guys ready to play good football in the regular season. So anytime you're able to do that, sort of not coming off an injury, or obviously every rookie in this league it's a unique first year for those guys. We think it has a lot of value because you're able to hit the ground running, and sometimes when you're coming off an injury, just speaking for every NFL player, you're doing everything in your power to get that injury back the way, back feeling right, so you're where you want to be with that. When you're coming in healthy, that, like I said, you're able to work on different aspects of your game and refine those and improve those. And I think it's key in this league when you have an opportunity to improve, you take advantage of that opportunity. And a good off-season phase 2 day like today is a perfect example of that.
About this, you self-scouted the entire unit last year. Where did you point to for areas of growth?
We find a lot of things. We go through every aspect. We try to detail it out in every aspect of the game. And we cut them up. We cut up the film, whether it's run game, protection, pass game. We go back through different schemes that we draw up that maybe we could have done a better job of putting guys in a spot to succeed. And like anything else, we're going through how our guys are executing everything. And ultimately, we're looking at can we learn from last year things that help us improve next year. So there's a lot of those notes. I would say there's been a lot of those notes every year, everywhere I've been. I think it's a valuable process to go backwards to try to figure out how to move forward. You can't stay stagnant in this league. Schematically, the players can't. They have to keep improving. So we're always looking for ways to do that. There's a ton of different areas that we're looking to. We're not going to ever sort of look at one area and say, gosh, we are good to go there, let's not even talk about it. We sort of go through every detail. We sort of strip it all down, and then we try to put it back together. Sometimes you might tweak a rule or tweak a scheme or tweak how we're using a certain guy to try to make that next year a little bit better. And that's what the offseason self-scout is for us.
Specifically with the passing game, what needs to get better there?
A lot of aspects. I mean, everything in this league in the pass game, right now we're out there working on air. We're running routes a certain way. We're trying to, work our quarterback footwork and throw the ball and all that the right way. But when you get in the season, it's dynamic. You're working against other opponents with different coverage schemes, and we're working back and forth to try to help our guys have the best chance to succeed. So whether it's us as a coaching staff, all our guys, just an opportunity to improve sort of how we do what we do and go out there and get better. We got a lot of notes. I'm not going to give you all the good ones. Opponents might be listening too, but we're working on improving in the pass game, run game, protection, all that stuff.
How's you seen with Pitt coming back healthy compared to what he was last year? Even in practice, he had to be so limited. Have you seen just physically a difference?
Yeah, it's so early. This is really, at least for the coaching staff, our first week kind of getting out there with the guys. He looks good. He's running around. He's got great energy. He's just, sort of bouncing around the facility with great energy. He's so tough. He battled through a lot last year. These guys in this league do, and Pitt epitomizes that, sort of what he pushed through last year. So, hope he's feeling great and can keep that good energy going. He's, like I said, we're putting in good work, and he's putting in good work day in, day out here.
What's been your first impression of Daniel Jones, player and person?
Yeah, he's in here going about his business the right way, studying, asking questions, making notes. We're doing a lot of stuff with our installs, with our sort of quarterback meetings, offensive unit meetings. We're asking a lot of that quarterback room to try to put him in the best position to have success in the spring and then this upcoming season. He's tackling that assignment head on. And then, like I said, we've only been out there a few days with these guys throwing, but he's looking good out there throwing the ball around and moving around. And obviously, with a quarterback coming into any sort of new offense where even just the cadence is a little bit different, the way you call a play is a little bit different, maybe the way a coaching staff asks you to read a pass is different than you have in your past. There's a lot of information that quarterbacks have to sort of manage and process and go through, and he's doing a great job of that right now, but we're going to keep piling installs up on these guys. We're teaching them a lot of information this time of year, so it's going to keep coming at him, but he's doing a great job right now, sort of day in, day out, attacking each day and trying to get better.
In your years of coaching, where did Lou Anarumo maybe give you the biggest challenges?
Well, Cincinnati, Lou was pretty tough in Cincinnati. I think I've faced off against him at a few different spots, but gosh, that Cincinnati defense was really, really good. Played him a couple different times at a couple different spots, and does a nice job using his players and using those guys to, really put them in the best position to have success, and making it really tough on the offense. Those guys were really, really tough to play against year in and year out there, and obviously had a lot of success. So the Cincinnati Bengals defense given me a few headaches over the years, that's for sure. So glad to have Lou here.
The rookies will get a week. I know you'll get limited time with them on field, but in the time they're in the building that they're around, what are the priorities? How do you maximize in particular with Tyler Warren at that time?
Yeah, I mean we're gonna teach those guys what they sort of need to know to get through the weekend. It's a short rookie mini camp type of weekend where we have draft picks in, we have undrafted free agents in, we'll have tryout players in, all that stuff. There'll be a lot going on. We'll be out on the field a little bit, so we want to make sure those guys hit the field and have a chance to go execute whatever we're asking for them in that day's practice, so that they can go play fast and showcase their skills. With Tyler, obviously we know a lot about him. We've learned a lot about him here going through the process, and we're excited to get going with him. Be good just to sort of get things kicked off with the teaching and the learning and route running, blocking techniques, blocking calls, just all the stuff that goes into the offense. But he's going to be like a ton of these guys. There's going to be a lot of new information coming at him. We're going to try not to throw too much at him this weekend, just so they can sort of, like I said, show up and play fast and, maybe get a few catches and block a little bit and get to know his teammates and, learn the offense just a little bit. And then that whole learn the offense process will really kick into gear next week. We get those guys sticking around for these meetings.
One of the things that makes Lou difficult is just that he changes game plans, week to week. How difficult is that for an offensive coordinator when instead of having, a set track record, you have to kind of guess at what he's going to be?
Yeah, I think variation on either side of the ball can make it harder to scout the opponent and prepare for the opponent. So when guys can give you multiple fronts every week, multiple coverages every week, or sometimes, in this business, we do our best to try to guess or project what the opponent's going to do, and you sort of set your game plan off that guess or that projection, and then you show up on game day and it's different. It can be complex for an opponent scouting that. It can make your game plan less effective, and it can make coaches sort of communicate and adjust more in game, which I think a lot of really good coaches, that's what they love to do. That's what they strive on. But gosh, maybe not every single team in this league loves adjusting in game. They like to kind of go run their plays in practice and get ready to go execute them the same way they did in practice in the game. So different looks, variation can be really, really good, I think, in this league in both sides of this thing. All right,
What were your impressions of Tyler Warren just based on what you saw in his college film?
Yeah, it's a guy that obviously had a huge year last year, but really has had a really productive career. Been in a really, really good tight end room there in Penn State with a bunch of really good players. Offensively, they did a bunch of really unique, cool stuff, I would say, last year. And to watch him line up in different spots, motion from different spots to different spots, and really execute a lot of different tasks. Most tight ends, I got a receiving tape, kind of his, watch his pass targets type of deal. I got a run blocking tape. I got a pass protection tape. All right, with him, I've got a, running the ball tape. You don't get many of those with the tight end. And then I've actually got a little passing tape. So I got a lot of Tyler Warren tapes back there. He was super versatile for them. Like I said, had a heck of a year. We think he's really come in and attacked the process of the draft prep and I think we're getting him in here pretty soon. I think he's probably primed and ready to attack that process. We're excited to get him out there and sort of get the helmet on him, get him moving around, get the cleats going, and put him in some different roles. There's a lot of tape of him doing a lot of different things, but at this league, you always got to prove yourself. So he'll have a chance to go execute a bunch of different roles, and we'll get a great feel for him. And he'll ultimately join our team, and I think he'll be a great teammate. Hopefully, make us all better. He'll have a lot to learn, like all these rookies. It'll be fun to work with him. We're excited about it. It'll be a fun weekend.
Jimbo, when you get to the last question, Monday through Saturday grind, what steps do you want to see from Anthony in that realm? Not game specific, but more of the preparation Monday through Saturday.
Yeah, I think everybody in this league is working to refine their process. So you go Sunday to Sunday, you do it 17 times. Sometimes you play different times of the night, different days of the week. You have to work on all those processes. As a young player, coming into this league, you learn a lot about the best way for you individually to attack that process. I think Anthony, like a lot of young guys in this league, is trying to figure out exactly what that process looks like. He's learning, he's developing, he's growing how he's doing that. But I think when you go through that process enough times in a row, you find little tweaks to improve it. You find little areas to improve. What I do as a starting quarterback on a Wednesday night, or what I do as a starting quarterback on a Tuesday morning. All those things. Like I said, we can spell all that stuff out for the players, but ultimately those guys kind of learn and they go through their process and they get a feel for what's best for them. I think Anthony's developing and working through doing that to give himself the best chance to have success on Sunday. All right, appreciate it.